So does anyone remember Slush Invaders? It's a flash game developed by Gilded Guy that came out around 2012. It's a launch the person and get upgrades type of game. There's probably an actual name for it, but I don't know what it is. I was feeling a bit nostalgic, so I decided to play it, or revisit it. Oh, and if you don't know who Gilded Guy is, he's a stick figure animator on YouTube. I feel like when I say that, people are probably thinking of a badly drawn stick thing moving in some manner, but that's probably because of the fact that stickmen are really easy to make, but really hard to make look good. There's a good amount of people out there who can make stick figures look nice, and no surprise, Gilded Guy is one of them. I mean, look at these animations. I feel like these guys can barely be called stick figures at this point, but I'm still going to call them stick figures. If for some odd reason you haven't watched any of his videos and are watching this, what are you doing? Go watch his videos. They're awesome. As for Slush Invaders, it really doesn't have the same style as current day Gilded Guy. If you check on his channel, it is literally at the very bottom of the list. The trailer for the game is right after that. It's safe to say that this was just the start of the Gilded Guy style we know and love, so don't expect this to be as epically animated as the bits I showed you earlier. To be fair, if you played the game and still remember all the things in it, you would already know. As for the people who haven't played this yet, you can either play it for yourself or watch me go through the game, because this wouldn't be a Slush Invaders video if I didn't record my playthrough. I mean, it would be a video, but without adding the playthrough, this would be the end of it, so... Man, that intro's nostalgic. Anyways, going into the game, you get a little intro introducing you to practically everyone. And yep, that's how this game started. And it kinda shows you how this game works too. With your character, the light blue boy, starting the launch by kicking old blue in the face. You see that bar at the top left? That is how far you need to launch him to clear the stage. It's impossible for you to launch him that far, and your blue boy can't be upgraded. So what exactly do you do to win this game? Alright, we have other guys. And this is where the fun begins. Instead of upgrading your main guy's stats and making him launch better, your job is to manage a team of people to keep this guy up in the air. If he slows down too much, he escapes and you fail the stage. This takes a lot more skill than you think, with each person having their own attacks, stats, and upgrades. Making a team that works well together and managing cooldowns during the launch is the bread and butter of this game. And it's super fun. Also, since we completed the mission, we got a new member, Stickmat, who, well, seems to be having some problems. Yeah, all of the new members that you'll get will start off stuck in some way. Once you actually click to unlock them, they'll be back in tip-top shape and ready to launch old blue across the map. The next stage introduces us to enemies. They can interrupt your guys and add cooldown time whenever they hit. Luckily, there are not a lot of them and they're pretty basic enemies, meaning we just blaze through this stage and unlock Stick Kyle. He isn't really trapped, he's just kinda down, so we gotta cheer him up a bit to get him on the team. But now with Stick Kyle on the team, we got one hell of a combo with Stetro and Stickmat being great launchers and Stick Kyle doing this. I feel like you could tell this combo is going to stay for a while. Ben Stikobi is the next to be unshackled, and yes, he is what you think he is. And after some shenanigans, we end up launching Old Blue into a football field. This will be the start of hazards, with this stage having sports people running on the ground. It isn't that difficult, just watch out for the people. And oh look, it's a cutscene. Okay, the cutscenes in this game are very choppy at times, mostly because this is a very old Flash game, which was not meant to be played on full screen. I needed to use full screen to record the game, but that causes some problems on the game's end. So, yeah, editing-wise, Sid might be able to fix some of this, but no promises. Anyways, onto the boss fight, which, as you can see, you actually get to control your little guy. He does have a health bar, so don't be too reckless. By the way, there's an actual combo string for this guy. You do need to time it, but it does a lot of damage if you actually do the full combo, so it's recommended. So you can just reset the first hit to stay in the air. This doesn't do a lot of damage, but you could do it, and it's surprisingly safe. Oh, and don't worry about your guys, they'll pop up after you do a bit of damage. We did get a new stickman before this, Westick. He just needed help getting up, and with him and Stikobi, we killed the boss pretty easily. Though Ben did decide to show off a bit by doing his ultra attack, which looks extremely janky on the boss. With that, we have finished what's essentially the tutorial of the game, got a new member in Stucker who looks absolutely miserable, and unlocked the 5th team slot, which we're going to slot him into because reasons. Stucker is practically useless without upgrades, so I just got his upgrades with the spare points I had. After going through the stages and finding some new enemies, we reached the Halloween stage, which actually caused some problems for me. Mostly because of the hazards that get thrown at your team. I actually almost lost this stage, but somehow managed to pull through. Highly recommend using Stikori, who we unblocked, because his shield is very useful for stopping attacks and hazards. Just keep in mind he is one of the guys that has health, aka he can actually die and won't be there for the rest of the launch. At least we managed to unlock Stick Brian after all that. How he got stuck like this, I have no idea, but he's going to be very useful for this upcoming boss fight. Unlike the robot, this thing has a buffer health bar. You need to break that to actually do damage to him, but once you do, your team ends up playing ball with a giant pumpkin head, which, though hilarious, is very, very sad to see. A few tips for this fight. If you get Ben Stikobi's Saber Toss, you could get a hit through the smoke and trigger Stick Brian, who in turn can do a good chunk of damage. Mark Stick is also a good choice for this fight, mostly because he can go under the smoke. Just watch out for the zombies and pumpkins that are flying all over the place. With that, we've beaten the boss, saving Old Blue for some reason, and then immediately taking a sucker punch to the face! Old Blue gets to escape on a vehicle while we get Stick JK. Now, since we've unlocked Stick JK, let me introduce you to what I like to call the auto kill trio. Stick JK lowers their health, Stucker finishes them off, and Stikori shields everyone. It's a nice team if you're too lazy to deal with enemies. Put these three in a team with a launcher duo of Stetro and Stickmat and you get my go-to team. Being able to launch Old Blue across the stage at top speed while not having to worry about any enemies. At least for 2 stages, because in the Christmas stage, we get introduced to the worst enemy in the game, the Azures. These guys do the same thing Stikori does, but to the enemies. If that shield also happens to be on Old Blue, any damage you do to him won't do any knockback. And if you use one of your characters, they're not just gonna stop hitting the shield, they're gonna keep going, meaning that said character's charge is completely gone. Well, if that's all, that's not that much of a problem, right? Just kill the Azure. Well, that's a bit of a problem if that Azure is shielded by another Azure. Do you see the problem here? While you're panicking trying to find the end of the Azure chain, Big Blue's over there slowing down, soon to escape. And you can do nothing but watch while desperately trying to kill all of the Azures. Can you tell that I still have a grudge against these guys even after all these years? Stick JK can lower their health, but he can't actually kill them. Stucker can't reach them because they can fly. Because why wouldn't they? which means that I had to use one of the launcher duo, which means Old Blue was slowing down. Anyways, after my Azure rant, we go through more stages and we unlock a few more members of the team. Stacker, who is missing his board, so we give it to him. Stang, who, yes, is a bunch of dust in a container. I think we just, yeah. Josh Stick, who has the classic ball and chain. We freed him and gave him a lot of bombs. This won't go horribly at all. And Stick James, who got his legs tied together. Now, before we go and fight the boss, let me talk about Stang for a second. If you played the game and tested him out, you'll notice a few things. First off, he has a health bar, which is usually on auto-attacker units. Secondly, he has the worst attack in the game. It doesn't launch Old Blue at all, it does nothing to bosses, it's literally just one tiny kick. And finally, he's one of the best characters in the game. You might be confused at this, and rightly so, because I just said he has the worst attack in the game. But there's a reason he has that health bar, because his entire gimmick is dying, and when he dies, he does this. Yeah, it does a lot of damage and can launch Old Blue very, very fast. The only problem is that he isn't guaranteed to die. I mean, there's an upgrade that lowers his health, but even then, it isn't a guarantee. In comes Josh Stick, who has an upgrade that puts a bomb on a person in your team. If he gives that bomb to Stang, it takes a good chunk of his health, meaning that even without enemies, he is guaranteed to die, revive, and kick butt. It's also why I'm going to use these two with Ben Stickobi, Westick, and Stick James to fight the boss, who are our friends turned evil with blue paint. At this point of the game, don't try to control your little guy. You're not going to be able to keep track of everything. Just move him around every now and then so he's not in a bad position. A bit of a bad thing, these guys are the same guys you're going to get. Meaning they hit decently hard and have their own ultra attacks. One dude tries to spin snipe you, which depending on where you're standing might hit more than once, and the other one does a 45 hit fighting game combo. Well, he would have done, but my game decided to crash on me. Alright, there we go, a 45 hit fighting game combo. It doesn't actually do any damage for some reason, but it looks cool. You can't interrupt it, by the way. Both ultra attacks make them invincible and locks your team up so you can't summon them. Don't worry, we didn't kill them at the end of the boss fight. We just punched the blue out of them, unlocking Stomar, Stomas, and Steric. My god, that's difficult to say in a row. And out of the three of them, I'm going to use none of them because they're not needed. The next stage is a nice change of pace since we just need to kill a bunch of bits. Fun fact, if you launch the bits and make the background move uber fast, you get some pixel art showing in the background. It's a pretty cool Easter egg. Oh, and we unlock Statison, who is our final member of the launch team till we reach the final boss. His hands are tied up with ball and chains with his weapon, I am assuming just out of reach. We free Statison, give him his weapon back, and pop him on the team with the launch duo and guaranteed Phoenix. Of course, there's still a few more stickmen we need to free, so let's get to that. Stick looks the next guy, and I don't know if he's perfectly fine, in great pain, or just confused. Either way, we undigitize him. I guess that's what I'm going to call it. Stick Wakas is next, and I have no idea how to say his name, but he's hanging upside down, probably having a headache, and he's a rocket man. Stick Sean's stuck in a glass box. I don't know why he's still stuck in there, since he can make portals. Oh, and we unlock another team slot, which I guess means that he's in the team for no reason at all. Finally, we have Stick Michael, who seems to have strung himself up with his own pen. Not gonna question it, just going to point it out. I think it's kinda obvious that this is essentially the guy who made Gilded Guy. I mean, his ultra attack is literally turning into Gilded Guy. Kinda makes you wonder how far back that pen from Story Zero goes, concept-wise. Now, after all that, we switch our team to this, explanations on screen for a bit, and it's time to fight the final boss of the game. Big Boy Prime. Yup, that's his name. Now, while I kill this boss in laggy fashion, because remember, old game not meant to be played in full screen, I'm going to expose my idiocity a bit, and tell you something that happened not that far in the past. So, when I was playing this game many years ago, I misread Gilded Guy's name as Glide Guy. Me being small-ish child didn't bother rechecking the name and it just stuck with me. Many years later, Sid was watching, more accurately rewatching, a story vid from Gilded Guy. I think it was the versus Jade one, and the conversation went something like this. Oh hey, you're watching Glide Guy. Yes, but don't you mean Gilded Guy? No, his name is Glide Guy, isn't it? No, his name is Gilded Guy. See? And as he showed me his phone, I read the name and it was indeed Gilded Guy and not Glide Guy. At that point, my brain completely stopped working and the only thought that came into my head was, oh my god, I have been calling him the wrong name for as long as I can remember. Now, with the credits having rolled and the ending in front of us, we come back to the main menu, which has a New Game Plus option. I'm not going to do that in this video, so I'll let you experience that yourself. There are new stickmen, an extended ending, and some other stuff. Fair warning though, New Game Plus is a genuinely difficult mode. From the increase in health and enemy spawns to the worst enemy combo in the game being the Cobalt Azure defense. You can't kill the Cobalts because they're shielded by the Azures, and you can't get to the Azures because they're getting blocked by the Cobalts. Yeah, if you decide to play the game through New Game Plus, I say good luck with that. Oh, and there are bonus missions for each of the stages, ranging from beating the stage with only one team member to getting a certain score in combo. I recommend you finish all these before going into New Game Plus. This game is still so much fun even after so many years, and really makes me wish there was a Slush Invaders 2. I mean, I can't exactly force Gilded Guy to make the game, I don't really want to force him, but I can't help but imagine what this game would look like on Unity with the animations he can do now. Anyways, this is the end. Bye!